So I'd pass out the homework, I'd collect it on a Friday, and I'd randomly have donuts on Friday. So who do you think got the donuts on Friday? People who handed in their homework. And it was a coincidence that this happened, right? So I had all that stuff going on, and I taught to the test, which meant that what did I have to do during the week? Because I gave tests on Fridays, at the same time I collected the homework. So what was I doing during the week? Teaching what? I was teaching what was going to be on the test. So, it would be funny because my students would ask me the same questions sometimes you ask your professors, and that question is what? Will this be on the test? And what was my answer? Yes, right? So I am a good teacher because I taught to the test. That's an educational joke inside, and some of you, how many people are in education? Okay, so you get that inside joke, right? So what I want to do is I want to give you a quiz. And so since I taught to the test, what do I have to give you before I actually give you the quiz? I have to give you the answers, all right? And so I will give you the answers to this quiz. And the answers go like this. Fantastic, terrific, great, all day long, huh. That's the answer, all right? So let's stand up and practice the answer. That means you in the back too. In the VIP section, right? All right, so it goes like this. Fantastic, terrific, great, all day long, good. All right, so safety first. There are chairs in front of you, so make sure you don't hurt yourself. And so that is the answer to the quiz. The question simply is this. How do you feel?
Fantastic, terrific, great, all day long, good.
That was pretty good. But I see some folks in the back, the energy level is kind of low, and it is very obvious that you are Lutherans. Because I am an evangelical Pentecostal, and we're very emotional, and we're very, excitable, but Lutherans are the same way, except it's bottled inside. So I want you to be expressive. I want you to declare how it is that you feel as we answer this pop quiz. How do you feel?
Fantastic,
terrific, great, all day long, good. All right, have a seat. Thank you so much. All right, how many people felt silly doing that? If you felt a little bit silly doing that, oh, no, be honest. Okay, cool. So why did you feel just a little bit silly?
It's out of the norm.
Because it's out of the norm. What else? Or why might people feel silly? If you didn't feel silly yourself, why might people feel silly? Yes, sir. It might have been a little bit over the top. All right? It's out of the norm, over the top. Yes, sir.
You don't usually answer questions with those huge of gestures.
Okay, so you don't usually use those huge of gestures to answer. Right? Very good. What else? Why might someone else think that was silly or funny?
It almost seems like you're out of control.
It might seem like you're out of control.
A little over the top, kind of wild.
Okay.
You're kind of supposed to be in control when we're interacting with.
Okay, so when you're interacting with people, particularly in an auditorium, there is a certain kind of decorum one is supposed to have, right? And that was outside of that. What I'd like for you to think about is that you will be working with students who may think the ways of doing things here are out of the norm, a little bit obtuse. dramatic, right? And so whatever that feeling was that you were having during that silly game, know that the students that you'll be working with will have similar feelings about some of the stuff and some of the rituals and the rites and the things that you do and how you conduct business. And so part of your job as a leader is to understand that and help guide them through the process so that they can live their dreams. All right? So I appreciate you doing that silly, goofy thing. But I also want you to remember that the students that you're working with may also be in that place as well. So I'm going to show a video, and I will have you moving around, and we'll talk, and we'll do different things in the time that I'm permitted. But I want to show this video, and for me, it's a very powerful video, and we'll talk more about why it's so powerful after we watch it. Anyone ever heard of T-Pain? T-Pain, yeah. So, some people did not raise their hands, so I'll just tell you a little bit about T-Pain. T-Pain is, I guess you would call him a musical artist. He uses a computer animated voice, and he comes up with these very epic songs with these very deep and philosophical dimensions with flavors and textures. And some of the titles of his songs are like, I'm in love with a stripper. Right? What's another one of his songs? I think I'm in love with a bartender. That was the other one, right? So I'm in love with a stripper. I was joking about them being dramatic. Just wanted to make that clear, right? So he uses this animated voice, and the kids think that this is something new with the whole computer animated voice, when actually it's only just zapping Roger one more time. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to check them out. Thank you. More bounce to the ounce. Right? So in this video, so what I found out was that if T-Pain can use that computer animated voice for evil, I certainly could use that computer animated voice for good. All right. And so this video has some augmentation to the sound and that kind of stuff. So I want you to not be distracted by that. There are also subtitles associated with it, just in case the sound is disturbing, that you can actually read and understand what's happening in the video. All right? So we will start that now. So it is clear the speaker was whom? Who was the speaker? Martin Luther King? Jr.? Anything else? Reverend
Martin Luther King Jr.
Dr. Martin Luther King, or Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King, right? So those titles are important to the next part of our conversation, right? So what were some of the themes that you heard him talking about in this particular speech, or this excerpt in this video? What were some of the themes that were coming up? We're going to get to the promised land.
That's some difficult days ahead.
We have some difficult days ahead.
He doesn't fear anyone.
He doesn't fear anyone. All right, cool. Can anyone tell me what speech is this from? Where does these lyrics come from? Does anyone know what speech this is from? Does anyone know any of Dr. King's speeches at all? Okay, so what's the one you know? I mean, which ones do you know?
I have a dream.
I have a dream, right? So everybody knows that I have a dream that one day, you know. So I want you to know that it is your responsibility to know that Dr. King had more than one speech. Right? So this particular speech comes from what is known as the mountaintop speech, right? So he talks a lot about the promised land. He talks about the mountaintop and blah, 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 blah. Now, the thing that I find most interesting about this speech, the thing that sends chills down my spine about this particular speech, is that this is the speech that he gives the night before he's assassinated. He says this the night before he's assassinated. Right? So what are some of the things that he's talking about? He said, I may not make it, but what? We as a people will make it. So I just find that so amazing that he feels the weight of this thing so much that he has a sense of his own demise. And whether it was going to be then or some other point, he understood that the journey will go on, but he won't. So he said, why did he use expressions like mountaintop or promised land? Why did he use those kinds of metaphors, if you will, in the context of this particular speech? Yes, sir.
The mountaintop and promised land means liberty.
Okay, so the mountaintop in the promised land means liberty. Okay. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Yes, ma'am. It relates to the Bible. And what particular story does it relate to, or events does it relate to? I saw another hand. Yes, sir.
Hebrews getting to the promised land in Israel.
Okay, so the Hebrews going to the promised land, but coming out of where? Coming out of slavery in where?
The desert.
In Egypt, right? I don't know if you see this movie. I try to make sure I watch it every Easter. It's the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, and he stands there, let my people go out of my cold, dead hands. Oh, no, that's his NRA speech. I'm sorry. I get those things confused, right? So Charlton Heston is, I don't know if you've seen it, but he's leading the people out of Egypt and into the promised land, right? And so how is Dr. King